Welcome to Dreamed It, Then Real Lifed It, the podcast where we dive deep into the journey from vision to reality. I'm Kelly Jackson, your guide on this path of self-discovery, transformation, and intentional living. Here, we explore everything from mindset shifts and personal growth to spiritual alignment and entrepreneurship, sharing insights, stories, and actionable wisdom to help you live a life in harmony with your dreams. Every episode will dig into what it means to not only dream big, but to actually consciously create the life you envision. Let's turn your dreams into real life. Welcome to this timely conversation, meditation on change. Change is constant, and the speed of it is increasing by the day. From cassette players and cigarette lighters in cars to Bluetooth, AI, and self-driving vehicles, we are witnessing rapid evolution in how we live, move, work, and connect. And this episode is an invitation to reflect on how far we've come, and not in a nostalgic way. I think more as a mirror to ask, are we evolving with intention? Let's look at what these shifts mean for us as conscious, heart-led humans navigating a digital, fast-paced world. And let's begin with a deep breath. In a world moving at lightning speed, it is easy to forget how fast everything is shifting. But when we pause long enough to really see the changes, we can better understand where we've been and where we are and how we want to move forward. And this episode is an invitation to notice what's evolving, the technology, society, beliefs, and to ask ourselves, am I evolving in a way that aligns with my values and vision? Because change is inevitable, but conscious change is a choice. You know, from ashtrays to airbags, okay, I want to talk about observing the physical evolution around us. And we're going to start with the tangible, the things we can see and touch, because one of the clearest ways to witness change is through the technology that surrounds us. From the cars we drive to the phones we use, everything is different. And the question is, what does this say about how we have grown in a society? Now, keep in mind, I was born in the 1980s, or as my children like to say, in the 1900s. Which is funny. They were born in the 2000s. But I was born in the 1900s, in the 1980s to be exact. And, you know, I don't know when you were born, but do you remember when cars had cassette players or CD players and cigarette lighters? Cars once actually had ashtrays built into every door. And they came with crank windows. You put your hand on a knob and you would turn it around in a circle, crank the windows up and down. They had tape decks and they had key ignitions. And now we have fobs and Bluetooth and lane assist and electric vehicles. These changes reflect not just innovation, but expectation. We expect more comfort, more connection, and more speed. So we design around those expectations. The safety standards have improved dramatically. Airbags, rear view cameras, blind spot sensors, those were not standard back in the day. Today, they're like non-negotiables, right? This is how progress often works. We normalize new standards of care and self-protection. The metaphor here, you too can raise your standards of self-protection and self-love. Okay? Another one is like from pagers and payphones to iPhones and smart glasses, like the Meta glasses, right? We once relied on pagers and landlines, the phones with the big curly cord that, stretched all out, and payphones. Now, with a device in our pocket, we can access the entire world in seconds. And the flip side to this is overstimulation. The modern human challenge is balancing access with boundaries. Just because we can know everything in the world at any given time doesn't mean that we need to. Okay? Learning has also shifted from chalkboards to YouTube, for example. We used to think that knowledge came from institutions, and today we are learning from coaches and creators and online platforms, and wisdom is everywhere. But discernment is now more important than ever, because you have to decide what's true for you and not just follow the loudest voice, okay? Even everyday objects tell the story of evolution. Like, look at a phone booth. I just posted a picture I found an old phone booth the other day and downtown, and I shared a picture on Instagram, right? So look at an old phone booth or a Rolodex or a Yellow Pages book. All once essential, they're now relics. And so what I want to ask you is, what is a relic in your own life? What belief or behavior or identity has expired and is waiting for you to release it? What we surround ourselves with changes over time, but the most powerful changes are the ones that we choose. And you don't have to cling to the outdated version of your life. Just like the world upgrades its tools, you get to upgrade your beliefs and boundaries and vision. Okay? You can shift the norms from fear-based systems to conscious choices, because many of the things that we once accepted as normal now seem unthinkable. Okay? This evolution doesn't just reflect growth in science and technology, it reflects a deeper awakening. And the world is shifting from fear-based systems to more conscious, compassionate, and health-focused choices. Are we doing that within ourselves too? That is the question. Guys, and let me give you an example of what I guess in my mind I'm thinking about here as a standout example. Yes, people used to smoke in hospitals. It's almost hard to believe now, but there was a time when cigarettes were smoked in hospital rooms and even on airplanes, okay? Society didn't yet have the information it needed or the courage to shift, but as we learn better, we can do better, and that's evolution. Change begins with awareness, not shame. And we don't need to shame the past to grow from it. Okay? Growth is a sign of awareness, not condemnation. And this is true for the collective and for you as an individual. You can honor who you were and still outgrow that version. Remember, I say all the time, self-shaming is self-sabotage. You don't want to shame a previous version of you. We want to honor who we were, even if we've outgrown that version of ourselves, okay? Cultural norms change when people are brave enough to question them. So think about seatbelt laws or anti-smoking campaigns or even movements around inclusivity, okay? These shifts happen when people are willing to question the status quo. So again, what quote norms in your life are you being called to question right now? Something that you maybe haven't even thought about. It's just normal. It's just the way it is. But if you really stop to do this work, these conscious choices, these things we're talking about, if you really have the courage to shift, like what is something that's just become a cultural norm, so to speak, or a norm in your life that really and truly maybe you're being called to question? Normal doesn't mean healthy. You know, many of us grew up in environments where burnout and struggle or silence were normalized. But now we know better. And just because something is common doesn't mean it's wise. And healing often means choosing what is unfamiliar, yet true. You can let your personal evolution be evidence of collective progress. And what I mean is when you prioritize, say, your mental health, and you learn new ways to communicate or to set boundaries, okay, you are part of humanity's healing. You're not behind, you're actually ahead of the curve. And the world really and truly needs your conscious upgrades. Society has changed because individuals change. You are one of those individuals. Never underestimate how your personal shift in awareness contributes to the collective awakening. You are more powerful than you realize, is what I'm saying. Speaking of powerful, I want to talk about AI because AI is a very powerful tool, and it's important to, we're going to talk about AI and integrity in the same breath and talk about co-creation in a digital world. So I'm sure you've heard of AI. You've maybe even used AI, right? And AI, what you know it as to stand for, is artificial intelligence. And I actually have a little bit of a different perspective. I kind of feel like it's ancient intelligence in a way. Well, we'll get into that later, though. But AI, quote, artificial intelligence, is changing the landscape of creativity and communication and productivity. But with that power comes responsibility, right? And like any tool, AI reflects the energy, the intention, and the ethics of the user. The question isn't, should we use it? It's how we choose to use it. AI reflects back what you feed it, okay? AI models learn from the data that they're given. That means the way you prompt, interact, and respond to it shapes what it produces. And this is a perfect mirror for the universe itself, because what you put in is what you get out. And there's a couple things I want to talk about with AI, though. So you don't lose your voice with it, you amplify it. When it's used consciously, keywords, when it's used consciously, AI can save time, increase clarity, and help you bring more of your voice to life. But when used passively or lazily or without intention, it can dilute authenticity. And the key is staying in relationship with your own originality. And You use the AI to support, not replace your intuition. AI is brilliant at organizing ideas and brainstorming and even offering perspective and doing research, right? But it doesn't replace your inner knowing. And you can let it support your creativity. You have to be really intentional to not let it override it, though. And if you are relying too heavily on AI, if you are just, if that is your go-to, if you were just like, oh, AI is here, my days of writing are over, or my days of creating or coming up with a layout for a design or like whatever, like you will begin to override your creativity. It's not. Don't just let it support your creativity. Don't let it override it. If you are relying on it too heavily, you are not tuning into your own divine creative abilities, okay? It's not about whether it's, quote, cheating, because people have really a wide array of beliefs about AI usage, okay? And to me, it's about whether it's aligned. And some people really do fear that using AI means you're, quote, not doing the work. But let's reframe that. AI cannot replace your lived experience, your voice, your energy. And it's about integrity and not purism. And use it with discernment. Okay? There's one of the coaches. I actually subscribe to them. I pay for their coaching. And I liked it on the Threads app once. They were responding to someone's comment that, aren't you afraid that AI is going to, take over? Like, people won't need coaches anymore. And this is a coach that they were addressing this to. Aren't you afraid AI is going to take over and people won't need coaches anymore? And their reply was that dildos are $1 billion business and they haven't replaced men. And guys, I had to chuckle because it's true. Okay. It's not here. It's not here to replace you. It can be used as an aid. An AI chat bot on your phone is never going to replace one-on-one support with lived human experience from a coach. Okay. It's just not. Just like, again, a dildo is not going to replace a man. Now, like any tool, AI is neutral. It's not evil. It's energy. The question is, are you using it as a conscious co-creator, or are you outsourcing your power? And this is kind of what I'm getting at. Let your use of tech reflect your values and not your fear. AI is here to stay, guys. But your soul, your story, your inner compass, that is what makes everything that you touch truly magnetic. So lead with that, okay? And let technology be your assistant, not your authority. This leads me to the idea of digital discernment, okay? And your feed is your frequency. We've talked about evolving technology, but now I want to talk about evolving self-awareness in the digital space. Your digital life is part of your energetic life, and how you engage online shapes your vibration and your vision. Your algorithm is learning from you guys. What you click on and engage with and scroll past and linger on teaches your digital world what you value. And if your feed feels negative or chaotic, it might be time to take a reset, to take inventory. Remember that you are the architect. And again, I have a whole episode on the algorithm as a mirror. Definitely check that out. Your digital space is sacred. We clean our homes. We tidy our closets. Your digital space deserves the same love. So unfollow what drains you and curate what inspires you. This is self-love in the modern age. And I'm also going to encourage you to be a creator, not just a consumer. Every post or comment or message that you send is an energetic broadcast. Are you creating from love? Are you creating from purpose? Are you creating from clarity? Or are you just reacting from fear and comparison and noise? Got to ask yourself these questions. It's also good to keep in mind that mute doesn't mean malice. It means mental peace, okay? You don't have to cancel people to create space. Muting, unfollowing, or silencing notifications is a healthy way to honor your bandwidth, okay? You get to protect your peace. Make your feed a vision board. So imagine scrolling and feeling empowered and grounded and inspired. That's not an accident. It's a result of conscious curation. Treat your screen time like sacred time. You are not at mercy of the algorithm. You are its teacher, actually, and you can show it what matters the most to you, and it will reflect that right back. Believe it or not. Okay? Want to believe it or not. I'm telling you that Algorithm is a Mirror episode. I think you'll really enjoy it. I want to talk a little bit too, I think, about staying human and the heart of conscious evolution, because in all of this change, I think that the most important thing that we can hold on to is our humanness, because technology evolves, and trends are going to shift, but your heart, that is your compass. And let's remember what makes us truly magnetic in the modern world. It's compassion and presence and authenticity. So you can upgrade your tools and not your soul. Stay open to growth, but don't lose the core of who you are. You don't need to become robotic to live in a tech-savvy world. You need to stay rooted in your values, and you can let love be your legacy. I don't know if you know this, but at What You Want, my business, our mission is raising the vibration of love on earth. And that means using every tool, every trend, and every transformation as a vehicle for more connection, not less. Evolution does not require abandonment, guys. You can evolve without abandoning your essence. And you don't have to be afraid of change, but don't trade your truth for trends, okay? Because the world really does need your original frequency. The world is going to keep shifting, and opinions will change, but if you stay centered in your truth, you will become a steady light, not because you don't change, but because you know why you're changing. You are the future. And the future is not something that's out there. It's being created through your thoughts and your habits and your posts and your choices. And you're not late. You're a leader. So, lead with heart. The times are a-changin'. They are, but love is eternal. And you can let your evolution be sacred and your presence be powerful and your legacy be light. And as we're moving forward into this new era, which we are, I want you to let this be your reminder that change is not something to fear. It is something to engage with consciously. And you don't have to do it perfectly. You just have to do it with heart. And if this episode is speaking to you and you want deeper support, navigating change, reclaiming your power, and creating a life that is rooted in purpose, reach out. My coaching programs are open. I would be honored to walk this journey with you. Let's raise the vibration together. I've got links in the show notes below. You can find out, or you can go to whatchawant.us/connect, WHATCHAWANT.us/connect. And you can follow the links there and we can connect. There is definitely wisdom of looking back and honoring the past without getting stuck in it. You know, while the future is filled with possibility, we can't fully embrace it without also looking back. There is wisdom in our collective and personal pasts, not so we can dwell there, but so we can understand what built us. And this little segment we're about to get into is about holding reverence for the paths that we've walked and noticing what's outdated and choosing what gets to come with us. Nostalgia is a teacher, not a trap. And it's okay to miss the simplicity of the 90s or to feel, the feel of those handwritten notes and the rhythm of a landline phone ringing or whatever the case may be for you. But nostalgia isn't meant to keep us there. It's meant to help us recognize what values we want to carry forward. Maybe it's the slowness. Maybe it's the depth of attention. We don't need to recreate the past. We get to evolve it. And evolution doesn't mean that your past was wrong, okay? You can appreciate who you were and what you did, even if you've outgrown those choices. Growth is not an apology, it's an upgrade. Allow yourself to hold grace for your former self without dragging that version of you into every chapter of your life, okay? Old ways weren't always better. They were just familiar. And sometimes we resist progress because we associate familiarity with safety. But just because something feels known does not mean it is aligned, okay? And a lot of what is considered tradition actually needs examination, like for real, for real. So ask yourself, is this still true for me? You can look back to honor, not to reenact, is what I'm saying. So looking back does help us see how far we've come, but we don't need to resurrect old paradigms that no longer serve us, okay? We can honor the past by growing from it, not by recreating its limitations. You are your ancestors' wildest dreams, okay? Technology, freedom of thought, access to information, indoor plumbing, okay? So many of us live lives that those before us could only imagine. What will your legacy be? What will future generations thank you for shifting? It's a good thing to journal on. The past is not something to run from. It's something to learn from. And what is the saying? How does the saying go? history, like you got to learn the past so it doesn't repeat itself. History repeats itself type thing. You got to, again, it's something to learn from. When you walk forward with reverence and discernment, your steps become sacred. So let history inform you, not define you. I want to talk a little bit about capacity and nervous system and burnout and how to thrive in a fast-paced world, because as the world evolves and accelerates, many of us find ourselves struggling to keep up. And not just mentally, but like physically and energetically. The more we evolve externally, aka the world around us, the more we must tend to our internal capacity to hold and process and respond. And I want to explore how you can honor your nervous system and expand your capacity without burnout. Evolution is only helpful if your nervous system can handle it. We have got more tools than ever. Okay, more tools than ever, but also more pressure and more comparison and more noise. You know how I talked about AI earlier? And Tom Bellew, he was one of the founders of Quest. I've mentioned his wife before in one of the episodes, but I was just reading something he was writing the other day. His projection that within 2 years, like 90% of the content he believes will be AI produced. And that it will just, and he's specifically talking about why he has dissolved his YouTube channel. And just for reference, if you don't know about Tom Bellew, like he sold Quest for over $1 billion. That was a company he built. He's an entrepreneur. He does lots of things, but just letting you know, he has built and exited out of $1 billion company. Okay. Now, so his prediction is that within 2 years that it will, AI, 90% of the content will be AI. It will just be so oversaturated. So to prove his point, those were his words, not mine. To prove his point, he is dissolving his YouTube channel, which has been a big source of revenue for his company, his brand. And he's putting all this into his podcast. And because he talks about, the importance of community building over just audience and whatnot. And so, because he said it's getting to the point where he said he would watch, and it's like, is that a really awkward human or is that an AI video type of thing? And I guess what I'm saying is when I talk about more tools than ever and there being more noise, there's just going to be an oversaturation, or there is already a saturation with this. People feel like they can create more, and that's just not always the answer. Just because we have AI and maybe it allows people to create more content more quickly, the answer isn't necessarily more. It's like, this goes back to using things consciously and just realizing like it's about connection and making conscious choices and being really intentional. And if we don't create room to regulate, we are going to end up dysregulated in disguise. And this is going back to just evolution is only helpful, again, if your nervous system can handle it. I got off on a little tangent just talking about all the tools we have, but I want to circle back to this, that if we don't create room to regulate our nervous system, then we end up dysregulated in disguise, and we're productive, but we're panicked, and that's what it feels like. You can't manifest your dream life from a constantly frazzled state, friends. Just here to let you know, okay? Slowness isn't laziness. It's leadership. Slow down to speed up, okay? Rest is part of evolution. We often see rest as a reward instead of a requirement. However, your nervous system needs pauses. And integration happens in the stillness. So as you expand, make sure that you're not just doing more. You're also becoming more present. And also remember, you're not a human doing, you're a human being. Okay, I always like that. You know, your capacity is like a container, and I want you to upgrade it with care. Instead of shaming yourself for being overwhelmed, ask, okay, what support do I need right now? What support do I need? Growth isn't about stuffing more into your life. It is about creating a bigger container, a sturdy, solid container, a bigger container that can hold what's truly aligned. Coaching is one way to gently expand your capacity with support. You know where to find me. Now, boundaries are your nervous system's best friend, okay? Saying no, logging off, limiting screen times, these aren't only personal development tactics, which they are. They're also nervous system medicine. And boundaries protect your energy so that you can thrive, not just survive in this new world. And again, emotional boundaries, physical boundaries, mental boundaries, energetic boundaries. There's lots of different kinds of boundaries, and you want to set boundaries in place, okay? Your capacity is going to grow when your safety grows. You cannot expect yourself to dream big if your body feels unsafe. And that's why regulation and support and emotional safety are essential. Okay? Because the more secure you feel in your body, the more space you're going to have for expansion. Healing is the real productivity hack. Okay? It really is. Do not let the pace of the world rush your progress, okay? Your capacity is sacred, and it's so freaking important, guys. It's so important. Tend to it, protect it, and build it in a way that supports sustainable joy. And if you're ready to expand your capacity with support, I'd love to walk that path with you. Link in the show notes how you can apply, or you can go to whatyouwant.us/connect. I want to talk for a moment about evolving identity, because we're talking about evolution, and guys, you are allowed to change ... more than once. The world is shifting, and so are you. One of the most underrated parts of evolution is, in my humble opinion, identity evolution. You are not supposed to be who you were 10 years ago or even last year. This little segment is going to be your permission slip to change and to reinvent and to be proud of your evolution. You are allowed to outgrow your past identities. You can let go of being the reliable one, the helper, the strong one, the overachiever. You know, whatever labels that may have served you once, but they're limiting you now, it is okay to shed them. Reinvention is not betrayal, it's bravery. And you are not required to be the same person that you were 5 years ago, 5 months ago, 5 weeks ago, 5 days ago, or even 5 minutes ago. Okay? Letting go of outdated labels is an act of liberation. Maybe you were the first one in your family to do it differently. Maybe you used to be someone who didn't believe in healing or coaching or personal development or mindset work, but now you do. That's a gift. And you don't have to shrink your new identity to comfort those still clinging to the old version of you. People will project, evolve anyway. Your evolution might make other people uncomfortable, okay? Not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're showing them what's possible. Keep going. Your courage invites others to evolve too. Some will project. They will. That's their own, that's what they're dealing with, okay? Don't let it make you stop evolving in the way that your soul is calling you to evolve. And another thing to keep in mind, you're not flaky. You're unfolding, okay? Changing your mind, shifting directions, pivoting careers. These aren't signs of failure. They're signs of alignment. And you're getting closer to who you actually are. That, my friend, is success. Success. Reintroduction is a spiritual act, okay? So every time that you evolve, you get to reintroduce yourself to your audience, to your family, to yourself. Say it with pride. Hi, I'm not who I used to be. And that's a good thing, okay? In this world of constant change, the most courageous thing that you can do is to keep becoming. You are not behind. You're blooming. And if you are ready to step into your next evolution, coaching can help you meet your highest self with love and clarity and support. You also can create the future with intentional living in a world that wants to rush you. And this is what I mean. Everything around us seems to scream, go faster, be more, do more, faster, faster, faster. But real power comes from intentionality, not urgency. And this little segment I want to hop into is going to invite you to step into the role of a conscious creator of your life, choosing quality over quantity and meaning over momentum. Now, don't get me wrong, I like momentum. And y'all hear me say Abraham Hicks' line a lot. Momentum is the absence of chronic resistance. Momentum is the absence of chronic resistance. I love momentum, especially in the direction of your dreams and your soul's promptings, right? However, it's important to remember that a lot of people are going nowhere fast, and a lot of people are going in the wrong direction fast. Meaning over momentum. You want to establish that meaning and intention first. You do not want momentum in the wrong direction. Okay? That's all I'm saying. Don't let urgency steal your alignment. When the world moves fast, it's easy to feel like you're falling behind. Alignment can't be rushed, though. As much as you might want to rush your alignment can't be rushed. Sometimes the most revolutionary thing that you can do is slow down and ask, is this right for me? Speed doesn't equal success, guys. We have romanticized fast success and viral growth and overnight breakthroughs, but the most sustainable growth is often slow and intentional and sacred. Notice the key word there, sustainable growth. You do not need to, quote, blow up. You need to build well. Intention leads to integrity. When you know your why and you lead with soul instead of ego, that's when everything aligns. If you do not know your why yet, that's okay. Exploring it is part of the journey. and coaching can help you uncover it. You want to create rituals that match the reality that you want. So what daily, weekly, monthly habits are you building that match the life that you say you want? Like morning routines, digital boundaries. I'll tell you one of mine. Morning routines and digital boundaries that go together. I do not reach for my phone first thing in the morning. I'm not saying there wasn't a time when I did do that, but the happiest and healthiest that I've ever been in my life have all come after I created a morning routine that involves all of my grounding and meditation practices long before I pick up my phone, and certainly before I log on to social media. If you're currently waking up, grabbing your phone, and the first thing that you do is open social media or email, and you are checking in with the world before you check in with yourself, and you are allowing whatever everybody else posted, whatever happened in the world, if you're allowing that to dictate your mood, the way you're going to start your day, it's time to make a change. It's time to evolve from that way of being. I'm just letting you know you're not doing your nervous system any favors. You're not doing yourself any favors by doing this, guys. You're just not. Anyway, again, I go further into other episodes, but for now I just wanted to mention it for just a little minute again. If you are waking up and the first thing that you are doing is checking your phone, and you're checking in with the world around you before you check in with your inner world, before you have a moment of gratitude, a moment of silence, a moment of reflection, some intention, some meditation, some prayer, some movement in your body, splashing some cold water on your face, whatever you need to do before connecting with your partner or doing some sort of before you allow the world into your life, your mind, especially into your bed. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like laying in bed, reaching over, grabbing a phone, and then getting online before your feet have even touched the ground. Just saying there's a better way. And I just had to throw that in there because I feel very passionately about this. But so morning routines, digital boundaries, journaling, movement, everything I just mentioned, these are not just habits, they're anchors, guys, and they align your rituals with your dreams. You are the author. The future is not happening to you. It is being co-written by you. So write with intention and create with care and dream like it's your job, because it is. The future is not some distant concept. It is arriving through your choices, your energy, and your clarity. And you don't have to have it all figured out. You just need to begin living with intention. So let this be your invitation to create a life that feels like love. And again, I'm going to put the details in the show notes below if you are interested in finding out exactly how working with me one-on-one inside of any of my coaching containers, what that might look like, how that might help you on your path, whether that's life, business, all of the above. Guys, check it out below. Until next time, I love you and have a great week. Bye-bye. Thank you for tuning in to Dreamed It, Then Real Lifed It. I hope today's episode sparked something powerful within you. Remember, every step you take towards your vision counts, no matter how small. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please take a second to hit that subscribe button or leave a review. That would be amazing. Or share the podcast with someone who's ready to bring their dreams into reality too. And if you're looking to dive deeper, connect with me on social media at dreamed it, then real lifed it, or at BE_what you want. Or visit dreameditthenreallifedit.us for more resources on aligning your life, business, and dreams. Until next time, keep dreaming and keep manifesting your dreams into real life. Love you, friends.